Mr. Jeff Horswell. She's been escorted again by Mrs. Joy Breton. Thank you, Joy. Could we have our first dogs in, please? First into the ring is the Airedale Terrier. Come on, give them all some applause. The Australian Terrier, the Bedlington Terrier, the Border Terrier, the Chester Terrier. I'm not going to say terrier anymore. They're all terriers. The Dandy Dinmont, the Smooth Fox Terrier, the Wire Fox, the Glen of Amal, the Irish, the Kerry Blue, the Lakeland, the Manchester, the Norfolk, the Norwich, the Parson Russell, the Scottish Terrier, the Sealyham, the Skye, the soft-coated Wheaton, and to complete our terrier group, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And from the any variety not separately classified, we have the West Highland White. The Welsh Terrier was before. And that completes the group.
If you go on that, then leave yourself plenty of room.
I'd like to give you a little bit of information on our group judge, Mr. Jeff Horswell, who is really a local boy because he was brought up in this part of the country. He judges 90 CCs over all 7 groups and is obviously approved to judge best in show. His interest in dogs has been since he was a small child and is still as interested now as he was when he was much younger. The first dog to be examined by Mr. Horswell today is the Airedale Terrier, judged today by Mrs. A. Surragan from Australia. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1164, with 38 dogs making an entry of 39.
This is the last call for best puppies in the terrier group, please. 316. Best puppies in the terrier group, 316, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Airedale. We move now to the Australian Terrier, judged today by Mr. R.M. Carusi from the United States of America. Best of breed was the bitch, 1194. There were 3 dogs making an entry of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Terrier. On the table now we have the Bedlington, judged today by Mr. Frank Kane. Best of breed was the dog number 1210. There were 14 dogs making an entry of 14.
I don't even know myself how to do it. Where is that dog? Did you see it off well? Okay, I'll go there now. There must be something in which we did not find.
Could I just remind you all of the Companion Dog Show, which is being held in aid of charity here on the showground tomorrow evening, and entries will be taken on the day. There are fun classes and serious classes, so please try and come if you can. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bedlington Terrier. On the table now we have the Border Terrier, judged today by Mr. Stuart Plain. Best of breed was the dog 1257. There are 116 making an entry of 124.
This is final call for the puppies in the Terrier Group 3-3-16. Final call for best puppies in the Terrier Group.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Border Terrier. On the table now we have the Skye Terrier, again judged by Mr. Frank Kane. Best of breed was this dog, number 1360. There were 23 dogs making an entry of 23. Ladies and gentlemen, the Skye Terrier. On the table now we have the Dandy Dimnon, again judged by Mr. Carusi from the USA. There were 21 dogs making an entry of 25. Unfortunately, I don't have the number, but I hope I can give it to you in a minute. The number of this dog is 1403. And I've been informed that it is a male. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dandy Dimnon. On the table now we have the Fox Terrier, the Smooth Fox Terrier, judged today by Mr. P. Julian. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1454. There were 31 dogs making an entry of 31. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smooth Fox Terrier. On the table now we have the Wire Fox Terrier, judged today by Mrs. Sumacore. There were 21 dogs making an entry of 21. Best of breed was the dog 1465. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wire Fox Terrier. On the table now, the Glenavermore Terrier, judged today by Mr. Tom Johnson. Best of breed is this dog, number 1488. There are 8 dogs making an entry of 8. Ladies and gentlemen, the Glenavermore Terrier. We move now to the Irish Terrier, and again judged by Mr. Carusi, USA. Best of breed was number 1491. There were 8 dogs making an entry of 9, and I don't quite know at the moment whether it is a dog or a bitch. I will tell you in a minute. And number 149 was actually a dog. Ladies and gentlemen, the Irish Terrier. We move on now to the Kerry Blue Terrier, judged today by Mr. Howard Ogden. There were 3 dogs making an entry of 3. Best of breed was the dog number 1497. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kerry Blue. Yeah. On the table now we have the Lakeland Terrier. These were again judged by Mr. Howard Ogden. There were 5 dogs making 5 entries. Best of breed was the dog number 1503. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lakeland Terrier. We move on now to the Manchester Terrier, judged today by Miss F. Freer. There were 23 dogs making an entry of 25, and best of breed was the bitch number 1517. Ladies and gentlemen, the Manchester Terrier. We move now to the Norfolk, judged today again by Mr. Carusi from the USA. 13 dogs making an entry of 13. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1535. Ladies and gentlemen, the Norfolk Terrier. On the table now we have the Norwich Terrier, judged today again by Mr. Tom Johnson. There are 20 dogs making an entry of 20. Best of breed was the dog number 1556. Ladies and gentlemen, the Norwich Terrier. On the table now we have the Parson Russell Terrier, judged today by Mrs. Sorahan from Australia. There were 28 dogs making an entry of 30. Best of breed was the dog number 1577. Ladies and gentlemen, the Parson Russell Terrier. On the table now we have the Scottish Terrier, judged today by Mrs. Leslie Crawley. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1616. There were 38 dogs making 39 entries. Ladies and gentlemen, the Scottish Terrier. We move now to the Sealyham, judged today by Mr. John Scanlon. There were 9 dogs making an entry of 9. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1638. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sealyham. Now we have the Skye Terrier, judged again by Mr. Carusi in the USA. 8 dogs making an entry of 8. Best of breed was this dog, number 1639.
She said, you would know how. I said, excuse me. I said, I'll speak to you. And I said, no, I'll be better doing myself because I know what I'm doing. So I said, you can come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Skye Terrier. We have the soft-coated Wheaton Terrier next, judged by Mr. Philip Greenway. 56 dogs making an entry of 58. Best of breed was the dog number 1661. Ladies and gentlemen, the soft-coated Wheaton. We move now to the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, judged today by Mr. Paul Wilkinson. Best of breed was the dog number 1729. There was 114 dogs making an entry of 123. This was the second highest breed entry. The first highest, of course, was the Border Terriers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. We move now to the Welsh Terrier, judged today by Mrs. Rachel Barney. There were 8 dogs making an entry of 8. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1826. Ladies and gentlemen, the Welsh Terrier. We move now to the West Highland White. Judge today was Mr. D. Shields. There were 61 dogs making an entry of 61. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1852. Ladies and gentlemen, the West Highland White. And from the any variety not separately classified today, the Miniature Bull Terrier, judged by Mr. Jeff Duffield. There were 2 dogs making an entry of 2. Best of breed was the bitch, number 1892.
Excuse me, madam, can you go back a bit?
Nothing. Sorry.
Nothing's wrong with you.
Break shot back of my head. Yeah. Teddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Miniature Bull Terrier. Mr. Horswell will take a final look around these dogs, and I'm sure he will be making a short list. First into the ring, the Australian Terrier, the Bedlington, the Border, the wire-haired Fox Terrier, the Manchester Terrier, the Norwich Terrier, the Skye, soft-coated Wheaton, and the Westie. Could we have a round of applause for those leaving the ring, please? That's right, everybody. Show your appreciation for these dogs, please. Now the Bedlington. The Border Terrier, the wire-haired Fox Terrier, the Manchester Terrier. There should be 9. The Norwich Terrier, the Skye Terrier, the soft-coated Wheaton, and the West Highland White. I think a decision has been reached who will be the Terrier Group winner at Bath 2014. And the winner is the Skye Terrier. Number 1639. Group 2, the Border Terrier, which is number 1257. Group 3, the Norwich Terrier, number 1556. And Group 4, the Wirehead Fox Terrier, which is number 1403. And round you go, please. And ladies and gentlemen, the President of Bath, Mr. Chris Lawrence, will make a presentation to the judge